So, the one thing I will say about The Irishman, it was an interesting 3.5 hours. What's up, guys, and welcome to the Movie Importance movie review of The Irishman, the newest Netflix original movie that's, of course, directed by Martin Scorsese, and it stars Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Ray Romano, Harvey Keitel, Bobby Cannavale, Jesse Plemons, Anna Paquin, and Stephen Graham. So, there's a lot to unpack in this movie. It's 3.5 hours long. It's very, very long, and it's definitely a Martin Scorsese movie. But the gist of this movie is The Irishman is about Frank Sheeran. And Frank Sheeran is a guy who was a meat delivery salesman. He meets a character played by Joe Pesci who plays Russell Buffalino, and they develop a relationship. It's similar to like Casino and Goodfellas, and he kind of raises himself up to the ranks and to the point where he meets Jimmy Hoffa and they develop a relationship. And of course, Jimmy Hoffa in this movie is played by Al Pacino, and it's a story basically that encapsulates this life of this guy who did a lot of bad things and then has a lot of regrets later on. And this is a movie that's pure Martin Scorsese. It's excess, it's very gangstery, it's just an interesting movie to watch because there's a lot of great storytelling going on. There's a lot of narration. There's just a lot of interesting performances. But the question really remains, is this a great Martin Scorsese movie? And for a Martin Scorsese film, absolutely. This is a great, fantastic film. It's just really long. I mean, when you're getting to the 2.5 hour mark and you're like, oh my gosh, there's still an hour left, it becomes like a kind of endurance test. But that's not a bad thing because Martin Scorsese has earned the right to do these types of films, whether it's on Netflix or with Paramount or whoever he works with, because he has created such iconic movies. You know, he's created everything from Raging Bull to Goodfellas to Casino, goes on and so on and so forth, Taxi Driver, so on and so forth. And this is a movie that if it was put in anybody else's hands, any director's hands, they would have told this director to cut down like, an hour of this movie because there are moments in this movie where it just kind of meanders. It just kind of slowly goes with the character. You're literally like with a good portion of Frank Sheeran's life and you're with a good portion of Jimmy Hoffa. And it just kind of wanders. There's not really a set motion and a set story in this. It just kind of follows these characters around. And that is what Martin Scorsese excels at because it's just what he does well. And then he has Thelma Shoemaker who edits his films. And I think Netflix went and told Martin Scorsese, you can do whatever you want. Just give us a movie that will, contend with the Oscars, that will be a great movie. Get whoever you want. And $175 million later, he got Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci. And I'll tell you what, thank God Joe Pesci is back because Joe Pesci is fantastic in this movie. He is just amazing to watch. He's back to his sinister feel. He does a lot of great things in this movie. He is menacing without really being menacing. He's not as bad as his character in Goodfellas, but he is just so much fun to watch, when you just see his character and his motivations, and he's kind of like a made man in some styles, and it's just fun how he reacts to everything because we have a Robert De Niro who is kind of like his Casino character where he's kind of at the mercy of these people and he's a little meek behind it, but he's so much fun to watch. Robert De Niro has never been more fun than he is in this type of movie because he really feels at home with this type of character and with this type of story. And that's what I love about this movie. And, Al Pacino is going to get an Oscar nomination because he knocks it out of the park as Jimmy Hoffa. He's doing Al Pacino-isms with, the really loud yelling and screaming. But he's almost more nuanced in this movie that it just makes it so unique. It's so much fun to watch. And Jimmy Hoffa was not a very good character. He's not a very good person. And to see that people kind of start slowly turning on him and the things he did to kind of upset people, it's really unique and really, really fun and really exciting and so on and so forth. So then we got Ray Romano and then we got Bobby Cannavale, who were kind of like the background characters. Ray Romano plays the lawyer. Bobby Cannavale plays the an owner of a restaurant that kind of gets involved. Harvey Keitel's in this movie, which is fantastic because he's not in it very long, but he's Harvey Keitel, so you're getting some good stuff. And just every character, Jesse Plemons pops up, and Paquin pops up. Stephen Graham is kind of he kind of plays like the enemy of Jimmy Hoffa, who's also trying to become a teamster and so on and so forth. But overall, this movie, like I said, it's a lot to deal with. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of stuff going on with it. But you kind of just have to go for the ride. You kind of have to go with each set piece and each moments. Robert De Niro, of course, is narrating, so you just kind of you get his views and ideas and opinions about what kind of happened in this world. There's moments where Jimmy Hoffa eventually disappears. There's moments where Jimmy Hoffa's really mad with the Kennedys, and it's just a really fascinating movie. It's definitely a gangster movie in sense, but it's not in sense. It's a very more or it's more of a drama with gangster elements. But everybody's just fantastic in the movie. And the movie, like the look and feel is just, it's beautiful. It goes from like the 50s, the 60s to the 70s, I think maybe to the 80s. One big thing about this movie, and the reason it cost so much money, is Martin Scorsese wanted to take Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Al Pacino and use the de-aging technology that has been used in a lot of movies, like Marvel movies, which is kind of funny because he hates Marvel. He doesn't hate them, but he thinks they're amusement rides and so on and so forth. That's a different story. And he has applied it to these characters. We see different facets of these characters' lives, and because the actors are of age, they're like in their 70s, he has used each character to de-age them to be in like their 50s or 40s or the 90s or 80s, and to varying degrees of use, we get the different time frames. And this is interesting to me because Martin Scorsese has always been known for kind of pushing the boundaries of technology, which is really strange for Martin Scorsese. But if you look at Hugo, look at the 3D effects in that movie, and it's fantastic. And he really pushes the medium forward in interesting and visual ways. And he has done this here. There are moments in this movie where you swear to God, this is the Robert De Niro, this is the Joe Pesci, and this is the Al Pacino that you remember from the 90s and 2000s. It's pretty remarkable. And then there are other times where it's kind of off and weird and kind of creepy looking. There are moments with Joe Pesci when he's talking to Robert De Niro as a de-aging technology where it looks like you're talking to a CGI character and it's really off. And there are moments with Al Pacino and even Robert De Niro where things feel off. But for the most part, in the 3.5 hour runtime, it actually does work, and it does work well. And you can really feel the craft of Martin Scorsese and what he is doing with the tech. But I must admit, it's pretty impressive. It's just crazy this movie cost $175 million, but it's all up there on the screen with all the the visuals and the set pieces and so on and so forth. Now, the problem with this movie, like I said, with it being 3.5 hours long, it's going to test people's endurance. It's going to test people's patience. When you get to the third act, which is really fascinating to watch, it gets to a point where some people are going to go, why am I still watching this movie? But yeah, like I said, it's a lot to unpack with the movie, but it's one of the best of the year. It's going to get a lot of Oscar buzz, probably a lot of Oscar nominations for all of its acting and picture and so on and so forth. I also give credit to Steve Zalian, who wrote the screenplay, because he's one of my favorite screenwriters. He wrote my favorite movie, Schindler's List. And he just sets the tone. It almost feels like he was writing for Scorsese instead of writing for himself, because the pieces and the parts and how people talk and how people act, it's just a nice balance of what Martin Scorsese is known for and how Steve Zalian writes characters. So, but yeah, there's not much more else outside of the music, which is actually more contained this time. There's not as much music as there would be, but you have to sparse it out. But yeah, it's dramatic, it's tense, and it is The Irishman. So definitely check it out if you like Martin Scorsese. I think you'll love it. I got to see it in the theaters, which was cool too, even though it comes out on Netflix in a week or two. So, but there you go. That's my take on The Irishman. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and of course, comment below on any video that you watch. Let me know what your favorite Martin Scorsese movie is. That's all I have. Let me know what you're excited about with this movie. If you've seen it, cool. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these 2 videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.